A man who has earned everything is about to lose it all. Not to an enemy, to a whisper.
Othello is a story about what happens when trust is weaponized. It is not, despite what many assume, primarily a story about race. It is a story about a man who loves completely, who is loved in return, and who is systematically taught to doubt everything he knows to be true. The destruction comes not from outside, but from within. And the instrument of that destruction is not a sword, it is a suggestion. Venice in the late 16th century is a republic built on commerce and pragmatism. It trades with the Ottoman Empire even while fighting it. Othello is a Moor, a black general in the service of Venice. He is an outsider by birth and appearance, but an insider by achievement. He commands their armies, he has won their wars. The Senate listens when he speaks. He has earned his place through decades of service, through battles in deserts and on the open sea. Shakespeare gives us a man who has built his identity entirely on competence and honor. That is precisely what makes him vulnerable.
Desdemona is not a passive figure. She is the daughter of a Venetian senator, Brabantio, and she has chosen Othello against the expectations of her entire world. She was not seduced, she was not tricked. She listened to his stories of battle and hardship, and she fell in love with the man who lived them. When her father drags Othello before the Senate to accuse him of witchcraft, it is Desdemona who steps forward and speaks plainly. She chose him. She defied convention, knowing the cost. Their love, in Act 1, is one of Shakespeare's most convincing portraits of genuine affection. It is not the infatuation of Romeo and Juliet. It is mature. It is deliberate. Two people who understand the world they live in and have chosen each other despite it. And that is what makes what follows so unbearable. The love is real. The tragedy is not that they were mismatched. The tragedy is that they were perfectly suited, and it was not enough. Iago is Othello's ensign, his trusted aide. He has served alongside him for years. When the play begins, Iago has just been passed over for promotion. The position of lieutenant has gone to Cassio, a younger, less experienced man. This is the stated reason for his hatred. But Iago's motives are deliberately unclear. He offers different explanations to different people and seems, at times, to invent new grievances as he goes. Some scholars have called it motiveless malignity. That may be too generous. What Shakespeare gives us is something more recognizable, a man who resents the happiness of others. Iago does not shout, he does not threaten, he suggests, he implies. He places an idea in the mind and then steps back to let the recipient do the work. His method is not brute force, but patient architecture. He constructs a fiction so carefully that his victim builds the final walls of the prison himself. Iago is not the devil. He is the colleague who tells you, quietly, that perhaps your partner has been seen somewhere they should not have been, and then asks you to forget he mentioned it. The mechanism of destruction is absurdly simple. A handkerchief. Othello gave it to Desdemona as his first gift. It was his mother's, embroidered with strawberries, and he has attached enormous significance to it. In his mind, it is an emblem of fidelity. Desdemona drops it. Iago's wife, Emilia, picks it up. Iago takes it from her and places it where Cassio will find it. That is all. A piece of cloth moved from one hand to another. And on this small pivot, lives are destroyed. What Iago understands, and what makes him so effective, is that Othello does not need proof. He needs a story, a framework into which his existing anxieties can be poured. And Othello has anxieties. He is older than Desdemona. He is a foreigner in her world. He does not fully understand the social customs of Venetian courtship. When Iago whispers that Venetian women are known to deceive their husbands, Othello has no cultural framework to push back against the claim. The handkerchief is not evidence. It is permission. Permission to believe the worst. What follows in the middle acts is one of the most precise depictions of psychological disintegration in literature. Othello does not simply become angry. He comes apart. His language, which in Act 1 was measured and majestic, begins to fragment. He speaks in broken images. He falls into fits. The general who commanded armies with a word cannot now command his own thoughts. Shakespeare understood something that psychology would not formally describe for centuries: that jealousy is not an emotion. It is a cognitive event. It rewires perception. Every innocent gesture becomes proof. Every kindness becomes a mask. Desdemona notices the change. She tries to reach him. She asks what is wrong. She offers comfort. And each attempt is reinterpreted through the lens Iago has fitted over Othello's eyes. Her concern becomes guilt. Her gentleness becomes performance. The more she tries to close the distance, the wider it becomes. This is perhaps the cruelest element of the play. Her love is genuine, and it accelerates her destruction. If she were indifferent, she might have survived. Cassio, meanwhile, is entirely unaware. He is a decent, somewhat naive young man who has no idea that his name is being used as a weapon. He approaches Desdemona to ask her to intercede with Othello on his behalf, a perfectly reasonable request that Iago reframes as an assignation. Every character in this play is acting in good faith, except one, and that one is enough.
The final act takes place in a single room. Othello enters the bedchamber where Desdemona sleeps. He is calm. That is what makes it so disturbing. He is not in a rage. He has moved past fury into a kind of terrible serenity. He has convinced himself that this is justice, not murder. He is correcting a wrong, protecting the world from her supposed treachery. He speaks to her with something resembling tenderness. He tells her to pray. He gives her time to make peace with God. And then he acts. Emilia arrives seconds too late. She reveals the truth about the handkerchief. She names her husband as the architect of the deception. The realization does not come to Othello in stages. It arrives whole and complete. He understands immediately what he has done and what he has become. There is no defense, no mitigation. He was not mad. He was manipulated. But the hands were his. Iago, when confronted, says nothing. He is asked repeatedly to explain himself, and he refuses. "Demand me nothing," he says. "What you know, you know. From this time forth, I never will speak word." It is his final act of control. He will not give them the satisfaction of a reason, because there may not be one that any of them could accept. Othello does not flee. He does not beg. He asks to be remembered as one who loved not wisely, but too well. And then he takes his own life beside the woman he killed. It is not heroism, it is recognition. He knows that the man he was no longer exists. Jealousy did not simply mislead him, it replaced him. What Shakespeare understood, and what gives this play its enduring weight, is that trust is not a static thing. It must be maintained. It can be corroded by the smallest intervention. A word placed at the right moment, a silence where there should have been a question. Othello did not fail because he was stupid. He failed because he loved, and because love without certainty is an open wound that anyone with patience can infect. The play does not end with a lesson. It ends with bodies and silence. The lesson, if there is one, is left to us. We live in a world saturated with whispers, where doubt can be manufactured at scale and trust demolished with a screenshot taken out of context. Iago did not need technology. He needed proximity,
patience, and the willingness to say what someone was already afraid of hearing. That has not changed. That will not change.